A reading from The Monster, part of Tales of Faygaea. Over there! The monster! The other members of the hunting party stared in the direction the man was waving his torch. At first it seemed like they were focusing on a deep shadow, and then it moved. One of Captain Leland's guards had been put in charge of this hunting party. After it! Men surged forward, pursuing the prey. The monster started to run. Don't let it get away! The party leader warned. A few of the men were armed with crossbows. They took careful aim in the dim light, and their deadly quarrels were sent spitting through the air towards the fleeing creature. A bolt glanced off a tree, but another sunk into the thing's shoulder. The monster howled, clutching at the shaft that had pierced through the leather armor and had been embedded in its flesh. The beast began to growl fiercely, turning its burning yellow gaze upon them. It raised a large spiked club and attacked. Faces of elation turned to expressions of terror as they watched the monster rushing headlong at them. One of the crossbowmen was frantically loading a bolt when the spiked bludgeon struck him in the side of the face, crushing bone and mangling flesh. Another raised a sword, only to have it swatted away. Then the club swung around, knocking his helmet off with the force of the blow. A hunter became livid and shouted, "I'll kill you!" He jabbed fiercely at the onrushing beast. There was a ferocious snarl, and the club was brought down on the man's helmeted head. Dazed, he swiped at the creature with his blade. The club struck him in the side, and though the spikes were unable to pierce the armor, the force of the blow cracked ribs and ruptured internal organs. Blood dripped from the man's mouth, and he collapsed. The remaining crossbowman cowered behind a tree, hearing the sounds of metal and wood striking armor, crushing the bones underneath. He could hear the thud of impact, along with a squishing sound, indicating that the spikes had sunk into flesh. A man was screaming. Heavy blows fell until he was silent. Crossbow held in shaking hands, a bolt was readied. The crossbowman waited. The grunts of pain and the collisions of the spiked club with skin and bone diminished. Suddenly, the silence was deafening. The man realized, I'm the only one left. He peered slowly around the tree. Bloody, battered bodies littered the area. Men groaned as their life quickly ebbed. Small fires could be seen where the torches had fallen. The crossbowman gave a sigh of relief that he had dropped his torch at the first sign of battle. He scanned the area carefully. The monster was nowhere to be seen. The man stepped out from behind the tree, and suddenly there was a large, heavy hand on his shoulder. His eyes went wide as he was forcefully turned around. Fiery yellow eyes bore down on him. The gaping maw revealed sharp fangs. Again, he was struck by how much the thing seemed like a shadow, menacing him in the dark. His shoulder was held in a powerful grip, and he would have cried out, but his voice was gone. The beast stared at him for a moment, and then raised its weapon. Trembling, the man dropped his crossbow. Thick muscles flexed. The man winced at the size of the creature. He shivered at the sharp, broad features and the body of solid muscle. A deep sound could be heard, and it growled more than spoke. I am not an animal to be hunted, human. You will tell them to leave me alone. There was a snarl, and the spiked weapon fell. The man yelped till he realized that the blow had missed him. He could hear the crunching sound as the club struck his fallen crossbow. Then the terrifying face was turned away from him, and the creature dashed into the night. He watched as the hulking mass ran until it could no longer be seen. The man bent to pick up the shattered remains of his weapon. He could feel wetness underneath his armor. It was not all sweat. He stumbled forward, just staring at the carnage all around. 9 bodies lay in various states. He wondered at the immense strength of a creature that could cause such damage. Somehow he had been spared. Why? Then he realized, to deliver a message. And he would deliver it. There was no doubt. His face had grown pale, and his eyes stared around wildly, for the monster had driven the fight out of him and left desolation in its place.